Hello friends, I'm Soni and I'm your trainer for today's session. In the previous session, we had discussed about verbs. What are verbs? Some of the types of verbs. Today we'll continue with verbs and learn more about them. So what are the objectives of today's session? First, we'll go ahead and do a recap of the previous session. Then we'll do finite verbs and non-finite verbs. Then we'll go up to the verb tenses. We'll discuss about the past, present and future tense form of the verb. And finally, we'll do exercises on each type, and towards the end of the session, we'll revise the session. So let's do a recap of the previous session with a small little song. This is the verb song. Let's talk about verbs. We need them in our sentences. They are very important words. There are action verbs, helping verbs and linking verbs too. All of these verbs are fun to use. An action verb is active. It's a special word because it gives action to a sentence. It tells what the subject does. Walk, run, talk, dance, sit, smile, row. These are some action verbs that we know. A helping verb helps an action verb make more sense. It's a very useful word to have in a sentence. Can, had, may, have, shall, will, must. These are helping verbs when they are used with action verbs. A linking verb links the subject to the predicate. It works with a completing word. They are good partners, you can bet. Am, is, was, seem, look, feel, become. These are linking verbs when there are no action verbs. So, through this song, we've done a brief recap of previous session. So today, we'll go ahead and study about two more types of verbs, the finite and the non-finite verbs. Let's get started with the finite verbs. What are finite verbs? The finite form of a verb is the form where the verb shows a tense, a person, that is singular or plural. Now, in the finite form of the verb, it tells you about the tense. It tells you whether the action had taken place in the past, in the present, or will take place in the future. It conveys the time of action. Also tells you whether the noun is in a singular form or a plural form, whether the action is being done by a single person or more than that. A finite verb makes an assertion or expresses a state of being and can stand by itself as the main verb of a sentence. Remember, we had talked about main verb in the previous session. Do you remember something we did about main verbs, helping verbs? Right. So what we mean out here is that a finite verb can act as a main verb. Main verb is the action verb, without which a sentence is incomplete. Let's take an example. I go. Now, the word go is the finite verb here, and it tells you about the tense as well. It is in the present tense. because if it was in the past tense, it would have been I went. So in this case, the finite verb tells you about the tense or the time when the action took place or is taking place. It also tells you about the person, whether it's a singular person or a plural person. Then another example, she goes, he went. Now he went means he had gone. It's about talking about the past. He went. So from the word went, you can come to know about the tense or about the time when the action took place. Let's see some more examples of finite verbs. The puppies were born last year. Now the verb here is were and it is a finite verb. The word were tells us that it is something which happened in the past. Also tells us whether we are talking of a singular noun or a plural noun, because were refers to a plural noun. If we had to talk about a singular noun, we would have used the word was. Let's take another example. His English teacher wrote the answers on the board. Again, the word wrote tells you that something has already happened. It is not happening right now. Arun painted his car last night. Now the word painted is the finite verb here, and because it says painted, painted means he has already done the job. It has already happened. It goes in the past. So the word painted also tells you about the tense, when had the action occurred. This was about finite verbs which tell you about the action, and at the same time they tell you about the tense and the form of the noun. Now let's talk about the non-finite verbs. A non-finite form of a verb has no tense, no person. That means by looking at the non-finite form, you cannot make out what is the tense of the action or when was the action done. Was it in the past, present or future? You cannot also make out whether the action was carried on by a single noun or a plural noun. Let's see an example. To do. Now the word to do does not tell you anything about whether it has been done or it is going to be done or it is going on. No information about the tense is conveyed. Now let's see some examples of sentences which would bring out the concept of non-finite verbs. The broken bench. The first sentence is the broken bench. Out here, the word broken is the non-finite verb. It tells you about the state of the bench, but does not tell you about whether it was broken earlier or it has just been broken. What is the tense? What time did the action occur? In the past, present or future? Nothing is being conveyed. Just by looking at the word broken, आपको पता नहीं चलता है कि ये काम हो चुका है, हो रहा है या होने वाला है. Similarly, another example, the galloping horse. It just tells you about the state or the action that the horse performs, not about the tense. The jumping joker. The crying baby. So by looking at these examples, you can make out the difference between the finite form of the verb and the non-finite. Now let's come to a very important part of the session, that is verb tenses. We all know how many tenses are there in the English grammar? Right, there are 3 tenses. Your past tense, the present tense and the future tense. Past tense tells you about something which has been done. जो पहले हो चुका है, that is past tense. जो जा चुका है या जो बात बीत चुकी है. What is present tense? Something that is being done right now. जो आज हो रहा है. And future tense is something which you plan to do or you think that it will be done in the coming future. So कोई चीज़ जो आगे होगी या जो आप आगे करोगे, that is your future tense. Now according to these tenses, the verbs have also been classified into 3 tenses. The present tense verb, the past tense verb and the future tense verb. Let's start with the present tense verb. A verb that describes an action that is happening right now is called a present tense verb. We all know that verbs describe action. We have learnt it in the previous session that verbs are the words that show action. So if a verb shows an action which is going on right now or which is happening in the current time, in the present time, it is called a present tense verb. जो verb बताता है किसी ऐसे action के बारे में जो अभी हो रहा है या अभी चल रहा है, वैसे verb को हम present tense verb बोलते हैं. For example, the bird flies through the sky. Now flies represent a present tense verb because the bird is right now in the sky, it is flying. So the verb conveys the time when the action is taking place. It tells you that it is happening right now. Many present tense verbs end with an S, but some also end with an ES or an IES. Like in the previous example, when we say the bird flies, flies ended with an IES. And for example, you say sleeps. She sleeps every day. This is a present form of the verb. It's ending with an S. Splashes. She splashes the water all over. Splashes ended with ES. And cries, flies, they end with IES. Let's see some sentences which would bring out the present tense verb. The shelf holds 3 books and a vase of flowers. The shelf holds 3 books and a vase of flowers. Out here, the verb is holds. The action is holds and S is added to the verb. It becomes the present tense verb because this shelf is holding the 3 books and the vase of flowers. It is something which is there right now. It is something in the present. So it is the present tense form of the verb. Rectangles have 4 sides. Now this is a universal fact that the mathematical figure of a rectangle, it has 4 sides, right? It will always have 4 sides. So this is a universal truth. The verb in this case is have. Have tells you that something is currently existing. And since it is a universal truth, it always has to be expressed in the present tense. Next example. My grandmother sends me a new dress each spring. So out here, which is the verb? It is sends, because send is an action that is being done. And one more thing, with the verb send, you have added an S to the end, which makes it sends. And we had learnt, remember, that in case of present tense form of verb, you either add an S or an ES or an IES. Let's see one more example. Classes end next week. Classes end next week. Out here, the present tense form of the verb is end. Now let's do some exercise so that the present tense form of the verb becomes clear to you. Now in this exercise, you're required to fill in the blanks with the present tense form of the verb. The first sentence, every Monday, Sally dash her kids to football practice. And the verb given to you is drive. Every Monday, Sally dash her kids to football practice. The verb is drive. Next, shh. That is an interjection. We'll do them later. Be quiet. John dash. Shh. Be quiet. John dash. And the verb you can use is sleep. Next, I'm sorry I can't hear what you dash because everybody dash so loudly. I repeat, I'm sorry I can't hear what you dash because everybody dash so loudly. The two verbs you need to use are say and talk. Next, this delicious chocolate dash made by me. This delicious chocolate dash made by me. The verb is be. You need to use the present tense form of be. Quickly attempt the exercise. Remember, you need to use the present tense form of the verb. Let's start with the solutions. The first sentence. Every Monday, Sally drives her kids to football practice. Drives is the correct form of the verb that you need to use here. Next, shh, be quiet. John is sleeping. Very good. Next, I'm sorry I can't hear what you say because everybody is talking so loudly. I'll repeat this one for you. I'm sorry I can't hear what you say because everybody is talking so loudly. The last one. This delicious chocolate is made by me. So the present tense form of be is. I hope after doing this exercise, you're now comfortable with the present tense form of the verb. Good. Now let's come on to the past tense verbs. Verbs which tell about actions which happened some time ago are past tense verbs. We all know what is past, something which is gone, जो पहले हो चुका है. तो वो verbs जो हमें कोई ऐसा एक्शन के बारे में बताते हैं जो हो चुका है या जो हम कर चुके हैं, they are known as past tense verbs. Let's take some examples. The dog wanted a bone. Now what is the verb in this sentence? It is what? Wanted. And wanted is in the past tense because the action has already happened. The dog wanted. You have added an ed at the end of want, because of which it has become a past tense verb. So this sentence means that उस dog को bone चाहिए था, आज नहीं चाहिए, पहले चाहिए था. So it is a past tense form of the verb. Many past tense verbs end with ed, like in the case we just did, but some end with a d or an ied. Let's take some examples. The word clap, ताली बजाना. If you need to convert it to the past tense verb, it becomes clapped. CLAPPED. So out here we've added ed to the end of the word to make it in the past form. Let's try with just by adding an ied. The word try. If you want to make it into the past tense, it becomes tried. TRIED. So we've added an IED. Similarly, the word study. I studied in school 10 years ago. So it becomes STUDIED. So in this case we've added an IED. Let's take some more examples of the past tense verbs. A flea jumped from the dog to the cat. A flea jumped from the dog to the cat. So since with jump we have added an ed, it makes jump a past tense verb. This is an action which has already taken place in the past or some time ago. Let's take some more examples of the past tense verbs. The heat wave had lasted 3 weeks. So again you're talking about the past, that some time ago the heat wave had lasted for 3 weeks. You've used the word had lasted, the past tense verb. Another example, the cat was walking along the tree branch. So you might have seen a cat sometime in the past and it was walking. It is not walking right now, it was in the past. Ram gripped the hammer tightly and nailed the boards together. There are 2 verbs in this sentence if you notice. Ram gripped, grip pakad lena, grip mein lena. Gripped ed means past tense verb. The hammer tightly and nailed. Nailed again ed has come in, which shows the action had been done in the past. Let's do a small exercise on the past tense verb. In this exercise, you need to fill in the blanks with the past tense verbs. The first sentence, she dash shy as a child but now she's very outgoing. I'll repeat. She dash shy as a child, but now she's very outgoing. The verb that you need to fill in is be, be, the past tense of be. Next, Tom dash the car. Tom dash the car. The verb you need to use is repair. Next, I dash out at the fitness center. I dash out at the fitness center. The verb is work. Next, the Titanic dash the Atlantic. The Titanic dash the Atlantic. The verb you need to use is cross. Remember to fill in the past tense verb in each case. So let's discuss the solutions and just cross-check what you filled in your workbooks. She was shy as a child, but now she is very outgoing. So the past tense form of be is was. Next, Tom repaired the car. With repair, you need to add an ed to make it into the past tense. Next, I worked out at the fitness center, because this is something which has been done. It's over now. So it is worked. W-O-R-K-E-D. Next, the Titanic crossed the Atlantic. So we've discussed the present tense form of the verb, where you add an S, ES or IES, and the past tense form of the verb. We've practiced them in examples and in exercises. Now it's time to do the future tense verb. Now, verbs which tell us about actions which are going to happen in the future are called as future tense verbs. जो हमें उन एक्शंस के बारे में बताते हैं जो आगे जाके होंगे, वो अभी हुए नहीं है, but they will start. They are known as future tense verbs. Let's take some examples. We will go there at 6 a.m. We will go. मतलब हम वहाँ जाएंगे. हम अभी गए नहीं हैं, but we are planning to go. So it is something which will happen in the future, which will happen at 6 a.m. So we will go becomes the future tense verb because the action has not happened yet. You have planned the action and it will take place in future. Future tense verbs use special words to talk about things that will happen. Generally, you use the word will with the verb, like will, shall, going to. These are the words that we use in order to show that we are talking about something that will happen in future. For example, will enjoy. I'm sure I will enjoy the movie tomorrow. Now you think that the movie which you will see tomorrow, you will enjoy it. You have not yet seen the movie, or you have not already seen the movie, but you will see it. So it is something in the future. That's why we use the verb will enjoy. Another one, I shall email the letter to you. Now I shall do it. You have not done it, but you will do it. I shall do this. So again it denotes a future time. Let's take some examples in the form of sentences. They will meet us at the new cafe in the market. Suppose you've asked your friends that let's all meet up at 6 o'clock today in the evening. So you say they will meet us. वो हमें वहाँ मिलेंगे. Again, future. We will be writing an exam every afternoon next week. So when your exam starts, you say we will be writing our exams. We will be doing it. You assume that you will do this thing in future. By the time you get back from work, we will have finished writing the letters. Again, you're talking about something in future, that you will have done the job. You will have finished writing the letters. Let's do an exercise on future tense as well. So that we get a clear picture of what is future tense verb and how to use these verbs. You need to fill in the blanks with the future tense verbs. The first sentence, we dash Meena up at work and go out to dinner. We dash Meena up at work and go out to dinner. The verb that you can use is pick. Next, if you need to contact me next week, I dash stay at the hotel. If you need to contact me next week, I dash stay at the hotel. Remember to use the future tense verb. Next, I dash you if there are any problems. I dash you if there are any problems. The verb is call. Use it in the future form. Next, great. That dash me feel much better. Great. That dash me feel much better. The verb is make. So let's quickly do the exercise. I hope you filled in all the blanks and I wish they are all correct. Let's start with the first sentence. We will pick Meena up at work and go out to dinner. So will pick means this is some action that will be done in future. Next, if you need to contact me next week, I will stay at the hotel. So you're telling someone that if next week he needs to contact you, you will be there. It is something which is planned and which will happen in future. Next, I will call you if there are any problems. So you just assume that in case you face a problem in future, you will call. Again, something which will happen later on in future. Great. That will make me feel much better. Again, will make is used here. So this was about the past tense verb, present tense verb and future tense verb. So let's go ahead and do one last quiz, another exercise for you. Now in this exercise, you need to choose the correct option. The first question, which option is not correct? And the sentence is, dash, I can't hear myself think. Dash, I can't hear myself think. The four options that you have are, turn it down, turn the music down, turn down the music, turn down it. These are the 4 options. Don't get confused. Just apply your mind. Just think which one sounds wrong and go according to what we've learned. Next question. Which option is not correct? The sentence is, if you don't know what something means, use a dictionary to dash. If you don't know what something means, use a dictionary to dash. The options are, look the word up, look up the word, look it up, look up it. So these are the 4 options that you have. You need to select which is the incorrect option. Next question. I am so tired. I am really dash. Need to fill in the blank with the correct option. I am so tired. I am really dash. The options are looking forward the weekend to, looking the weekend forward to, looking forward to the weekend, weekend looking forward to. So the words are the same, but the order is different, and you need to check which order or which sequence is the appropriate one. Next, when we go on a holiday, who's going to dash the dog? You need to fill in the blank with the correct option. When we go on a holiday, who's going to dash the dog? The 4 options are look for, look after, look up, look at. Let's start with the solutions. The first question was, which option is not correct? Dash, I can't hear myself think. The right answer is number D, because turn down it is not correct. Next, which option is not correct? If you don't know what something means, use a dictionary to dash. The right answer is again number D, look up it. It does not make any sense, so this is the incorrect option. Next, I'm so tired. I'm really. Now this time you had to fill it with the correct option. I'm really what? In this case, the correct fit was number C, looking forward to the weekend. This means you're waiting for the weekend, that when will the weekend come and I'll relax. So the option is C. Next, when we go on holiday, who's going to dash the dog? The correct option is number B, look after. Means who will take care of the dog. So I hope by now you're good with verbs. You know all that we've learnt in the session. Just go through both the sessions once again, use your workbook, and I'm sure you'll be perfect as far as verbs are concerned. So until next time, bye-bye and happy learning.